You told me a story. You said when we would all stay inside when it was raining outside, we'd all stay home and play board games, and you were the guy that wrote the board game, right?
With the marketing is, I'm afraid I'm going to come off like that used car salesman guy where he's more interested in the sale than the person. You're going to push through and be obnoxious.
You took your modules down to kind of reformat things, and then with the intention of, okay, this is going to be a week or two, and then they'll go back up, and then things just never went back up. Is that kind of what happened?
My name is Joshua, and welcome to Chasing Dragons.
Joshua, welcome to the show, dude. How's it going?
It is going fantastic. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm living the absolute dream. Guys, this is Joshua. He's the creator of Gauntlet Gaming, an indie tabletop brand building downloadable adventure modules for dungeon masters. He's been designing games since childhood and started selling content around 2017, mostly through DriveThruRPG, the biggest marketplace for indie RPG material. His breakout series, Assault on Calzareth, earned him real traction, and one of his forked path campaign formats once tripled his monthly revenue. But even after 9 years, the business still feels stuck. He's making around $1,000 to $1,500 a month and struggling with visibility, perfectionism, and isolation. Today's conversation is split into 3 parts. First, we're going to talk about Joshua's work and what makes it tick. Then we're going to unpack the specific problems that have kept him spinning in circles. And finally, I'm going to enter full meltdown mode and deliver a rant-heavy coaching monologue about what I believe Joshua should do next if he wants to turn this into a real business. Does that sound good, Joshua?
That sounds perfect.
Beautiful. Did I get anything wrong in the intro? Is that kind of a fair summary of your business?
That sounds about right, yeah.
Beautiful. So tell me, let's start at the top, right? How did this all begin? Tell me about your business and what you do and how you make money.
It's been a thing where I've always been big into games. Originally, I would say that I wanted to be a game programmer. And then I found out that the person who made the story is the game designer. And so I went, no, I want to write the story. I want to make the content in the world. And so then it was where I started changing and following that aspect. And Dungeons and Dragons was something I just picked up in high school. I've been a forever DM my whole life kind of thing. And I just love the storytelling element of it, and where you sit around with a bunch of people and you create a world together. And loving that so much, I wanted to start to have that as what I could do for my living, because I love making games and I love writing and creating, and I wanted a way to harness that. Since I do it so much anyway, I might as well have it where I can try to get a profit at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah, you told me a story. You said when we would all stay inside when it was raining outside, we'd all stay home and play board games, and you were the guy that wrote the board game, right? That you guys would all sit around and play?
Yes, and I give my parents so much props because they played untested games with me, down to not realizing I had the board flip and what to do with the characters who were still on the other side.
I love it. That's so funny. Cool. Okay, so explain your business to me, right? So what exactly are you making and who is buying it?
So what I create is content for people who want to run Dungeons and Dragons or whatever tabletop RPG they're playing and just don't have the time to write the content themselves. So it's a thing where I create the background, the theme. I basically give the scenes in that, and they put their players in and then have everything go crazy. You've mentioned playing before, so I'm sure you know how crazy it can get when things go.
Sure. Yeah, when the players are like, instead of following the story, we're going to burn down the town and stab the vendors in the streets. And it's like, oh, great. Now I have to write like a jail scene. Like, I don't know.
I've had it where I've been playtesting stuff that I've made, and I had like a monkey mentioned. It was just this guy had a monkey. That was it.
Yeah.
It was like one sentence, and then they chased the monkey. Something else happened. And it was just like, okay, I guess we are playing with the monkey.
Yeah. And now suddenly you have to do a whole character build out for the monkey, and like, what's his charisma look like, and that sort of thing.
So it's like, yeah, once it hits the players, all bets are off kind of thing. But I try to give as much information as I can, so that they can run the world and have it where it's easier for them. The burden is off of them on what they have to do.
Guys, I think we got it. I think we locked down the direction of the show. Am I wrong? This one feels locked in. Like, I don't know. I loved this conversation. Joshua's dope as hell. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Another way you can help us out is by leaving a comment, right? If anything I say in this video, if you disagree with it, like, that's totally fine. Post in the comments, right? Yeah, if you want to come on Chasing Dragons, click the first link in the description, and it will help you apply to the show. Also, guys, go ahead and hit the subscribe button because we are trying to hit 2,500 subs, so that would mean the world to me. Boom. Back to the show, talking to Joshua. Got it. Cool. So you mentioned that your flagship product is called Assault on Calzareth. Can you tell me about that?
Yep, that is a three-way campaign where it actually takes place over a story arc. So you start out where this tower actually starts emanating this magic where it starts basically freezing this entire city. And you have to actually go through these historical records and find a way into the tower. And then you shut everything, well, you get in, you start getting everything worked out, but you end up getting it where you get kicked out of the tower and have to find all these different things. And so the story actually arcs into these different things based off of what you do. The story actually evolves and changes. So if you did something in the first module, it will open doors or close them for you in the second one. So based off your actions, it changes how the story develops.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, you were mentioning the forked story. You had this other module as well where you were talking about this forked story mechanic and how that actually like was one of your big, like you went to a convention and that was really, they liked that a lot. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, it's basically a choose your own adventure style thing, but written into the campaign itself.
Very
So
cool.
that way it's a thing where the world feels more alive that way. Because they can't do everything that they would. I mean, I guess the DM could let them, but it's a thing where on its own, if you make this choice, because of the time involved, you can't choose this other option. Something's already happened. The story has shifted, kind
Oh,
of.
cool. That's very cool. I like that a lot.
So it's kind of got that.
Very cool.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I've been doing a D&D adventure with my friends, one that is homebrew that I kind of that I wrote, and we've been playing for the past like month or so, and it's been a very interesting experience. But the idea of creating these forked paths sounds really cool because as I prepare each session for what we're doing, you know, it takes a lot of time, but also the idea that like there is this prefab thing where when the characters are doing one storyline, there's other things already happening already. I think that actually sounds very valuable, and it makes sense to me why people would purchase your modules.
Yep, that's the thing. My goal is to make it where the DM can show up and run the game in that, but he doesn't have to, or they don't have to create the world however they want thing. It's already built for them. They can tweak little pieces, move it around so it fits their style better, but the hard work is already done for them. So they can enjoy the session too
Very cool.
and not have to worry.
Cool. All right, cool. Now this is the part where you complain, Joshua. You ready to complain?
I'll do my best.
Here we go.
I'm not complaining.
All right. No, that's good. You know what? I like entrepreneurship because entrepreneurship involves complaining because, like, you know, and I'm really good at complaining. So, like, you know, because if you can complain super good, then you know your problems, right? And then that's the first step in solving the problems.
That's a true way of looking at it, yeah.
Yeah. So here we go. So let's shift gears. What's not working in your business? What are your biggest problems, Joshua?
Well, my biggest problems right now is it's taking me a long time to turn around the product and get new stuff out. Like, I actually have had it where about a month now I've pulled everything off of drive-through because I've been reformatting and rechanging everything because I was unhappy with it and kind of thinking of doing a rebrand at the same time thing. But that's now a month that I've spent that I could have been doing other things even versus making this, tweaking it and getting it to where it's perfect kind of thing. And so I know that it's where I've at points not been utilizing my time as well as I could because I've been basically kind of rehashing the same material. And it might work for like Bethesda and like that, but it doesn't work as well. Yeah, they're the group that does Skyrim, right?
Yeah, Bethesda. I love Bethesda.
How many they released of that thing?
I love Skyrim. I haven't played
like,
Skyrim in a long time, but got it. So you
right?
took your modules down. You took your modules down to kind of reformat things, and then with the intention of okay, this is going to be a week or two, and then they'll go back up, and then things just never went back up. Is that kind of what happened?
Exactly. And so it's where I've wasted a bunch of time letting things kind of just stew and sit there. And so I know that I've not been doing horrible on that. And then marketing in general, I'm not doing well at going out and reaching the clients and talking to them. In person at cons, I do really well, but with social media and that, I've really dropped the ball. I'm bad at it. It's a thing where, well, then there's also just the rules at points and having to figure out what's what and making sure that your message fits the style for each social media outlet that you're doing and that. It's a thing where, yeah, I'm not utilizing my time well in that field. So it's a thing where like I've put marketing effort in, but I'm not doing it in a way that actually propels people to buy the product, to take the risk and take the jump kind of thing.
Got it. I also wanted to ask you about your website, right? So you mentioned that you originally had a website, but you took it down. Can you explain that situation
That
as
went
well?
down about a month ago too for the whole rebranding and doing I had it where basically I took everything at the same time rather than doing piece by piece even, and so it was like I said, it was just not a very well thought out way of even handling that, because I could have done it even just do the website first, then take down one adventure. I could have done it where I actually did it in a much better fashion.
Got it. Cool. Beautiful. Okay, so now I have other questions too. Do you have anything like an email list? Are you emailing anybody? Or, you mentioned also you're going out into cons and stuff. What are you doing around there?
So I do a lot of cons, but they're more just in the state of New York right now. I would like to expand out, but that is I need to find the actual proper cons, I guess. Because like there's the big ones like Gen Con and that, but those are kind of hefty to swing for the first out of state con. It's like, yeah, it would be worth it in the end, but that's a heavier swing kind of thing.
Got it.
Then it's where at the cons I do collect a bit of an email list. I have about 200, I think, people for the email list.
Beautiful.
But that I am not as regular as I should be.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
Again, it's the marketing thing, and where at points like I know email can work well, but I'm not utilizing it. And actually on Drive-Thru RPG as well, anybody who has bought my products, I can actually email them through that as well if they have it where they allow that, because it's a settings thing.
Got it. Got it. Okay, cool. So just to summarize really quick, to make sure before I go crazy here, you've taken your products down from Drive-Thru RPG. The same month your website also went down. You've taken those down to do sort of a rebrand and kind of like revise everything before putting it back up. You describe yourself as bad at marketing, especially on social media, but a lot of your sales, you are doing successful sales through in-person conventions, especially within the state of New York. You're thinking about potentially doing Gen Con. I don't know where Gen Con is. Where's Gen Con?
Indianapolis, I think.
Cool. Okay, cool. So you're...
I'd have to double check that one. But there's other like tabletop RPG cons as well that would be decent. Gary Con's not bad. That one's Michigan, I think.
Cool.
Because it's Lake Geneva where he did his
Gary Gygax is in. Got it.
And
cool.
It's a tribute to him each year.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And you're collecting emails at cons. You have an email list of about 200 right now, which is fantastic. And you also can do email messaging through Drive-Thru RPG, which is an interesting functionality that I didn't know about. Cool. My last question here before we start getting into my thoughts on things. Are you surrounded right now by anybody who is running a similar business? Do you work with anybody who is like involved in anything similar?
Online, I have a couple of groups that I'm in where people are dealing with it, but as an actual local, someone I could talk to, no.
Got it. Tell me about the online
Closest
groups.
would be going to a game store kind of thing and talking to people there, but...
Cool. Tell me about the online groups. Are those people where you're like on a call and talking to them, or is it more just like they're posting stuff?
It's more like a forum where it's messages and that. Like there's a board game developer group that I do on Facebook groups and that, but it's more people post things and then comment and respond in that. It's not live interaction.
Got it. All right. Okay. I think we now transition into me giving you, I would say unsolicited advice, but it's sort of solicited advice. That's kind of the show, right? So cool. Here we go.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of fair.
Right. Yeah.
I asked for it.
Exactly. So cool. So beautiful. All right, we're gonna go through this now. Look here. This is my rant and my perspective. My background is in digital marketing. The way I kind of view this is that like I don't. There are 1,000 ways to skin a cat, Joshua, and this is my specific like perspective, right? It doesn't mean that I'm always right, but it means that like I've thought about this for the past couple days in preparation for this, and I've got a lot of things to say here. So I'm excited to share them with you. So the first one is, yeah, you took your products down from Drive-Thru RPG and the website went down as well. So I've looked into this problem, okay? I've looked into this and I went on Drive-Thru RPG, and from my understanding, you can iterate live on that website where you can upload one version at a time, right? You can do V1 and then you can like update it and do V1.2 and then just change out the files. Do you know about this?
I do know, and that's part of the thing is that's where I know that I didn't handle it well because I did.
Got
I
it.
knew I could do the live swaps, but for some reason in my head it was like if I'm going to work on this, I don't want other people, even though I can send out an update link and
Got
just
it.
say, "Hey, this has been updated."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I found. That's what I found in my research. I'm like, okay, because dude, here's the thing, dude, is that you've got the perfect business. You know, like your overhead is very, very low, right? Like without a website, like you don't, it seems to me like you do not have like much overhead at all, unless you're paying for like InDesign or like software costs or anything. I mean, what is your monthly expenses?
There's some software costs. The biggest cost is art because everything else I do pretty much in-house. And
Sure.
so if I have to pay for the artist to make the piece, that's a bit hefty because even on the low end, that's usually about 100 to 150 per picture.
Sure.
And so that's where the cost really starts adding up. If I do stock art, the prices, the cost just plummets kind of thing, but then it's stock art, so you get what,
Yeah.
where you have that mix, you're not going to get exactly what you need.
Right. No, that makes sense. But here's where I'm at with this is that like have you from my perspective like especially if you're utilizing drive-through RPG and you're not running your own like website and stuff, yes, there's going to be fixed costs as you work on each module and stuff. There's going to be like a lump sum that goes into each module, which is great too, by the way, because like that custom art is going to enhance the product and make it better for your consumers. But like from my perspective, like this is mostly profit, right? Like it's a digital asset that someone downloads, right? You don't even have to do fulfillment because Drive-Through RPG, I've heard that they do printing and they will also just allow people to download the software, right? So you don't have to touch it. There's no fulfillment operations. It's a hugely
Right.
scalable.
Once it's created, it's just there generating revenue.
Right.
Yeah.
So dude, it's super scalable, right? And it's no overhead at all. And they take 30% of your revenue, which sucks, which is something that I also want to talk about. But like for right now in the stage that you're in, there is no overhead. So all we got to do, in my opinion, is break this like or kind of reframe some things in your brain here to like make it so that like we can work through those like psychological blocks so that you just post this shit, right? That's my opinion. Fair?
I mean, really, that's it, is just posting it at points. Yes, if I just get it up there and even talk about it to people online, it will make things easier because if people don't know it's there, they can't get it.
Right. And that's exactly right. And so, most business problems are simple on paper, right? It's like, like the way to make this make money is to make it available for purchase, right? But like, so that's a simple problem to solve, but like it's a complicated psychological problem because it's like, why did I take this down, right? Well, I did it with this intention. It was only supposed to go down for a few weeks. Have you ever read, there's a book that I really like called The War of Art. Have you heard this book before?
I have heard of it. I have not read it, though.
Got it. So in this book, the author, I believe, who is it by? I thought is it Stephen Pressfield? It is by Stephen Pressfield. I love this book.
There you go.
It's a fantastic book, Joshua. You should definitely read this book. He describes something called resistance, okay? And I think that you're probably familiar with what resistance is, right? He describes it as this like, I love the book because the guy's like an old grungy entrepreneur type like writer guy, and he really romanticizes the life of the writer and the artist and the entrepreneur. And he's like, resistance is that force that constantly causes your brain to spiral ideas of like, this is why you should not do this, right? Like whenever you're making art, whenever you're trying to lose weight, whenever you're trying to make money and pay off debt, whenever you're trying to do anything that requires, you setting a bar up here and making incremental progress every day towards that, there's this force in your brain called resistance that is going to constantly, like, it's you tricking yourself as to like, this is why I'm not going to do this type of shit, right? What are some of those resistance thoughts in your head if you had to label them? Like, what thoughts caused you to be like, I'm going to take down my shit, even though I know I could just do the version updates?
Well, one of the thoughts going through was I don't want somebody to get the inferior copy. I want them to get I want them to get the best when they get it, that they have the best and they know it's the best. Also, just the thought of going out there and having to even say the thing of where I'm pulling stuff at points and having it where like in my head, I was going, it makes more sense just to pull this rather than having to sit there and explain oh, this is in revamp or reconstruction or anything like that, because that's going to put a negative thing on it. They're not going to want it once they know that I'm doing that. And so that way they don't know.
Sure. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so like this idea of like having to explain like uh-oh, like they're gonna see kind of like behind the curtain of like, oh, like you want to just present something that's like, this is the product. It's always been this good, you know? I'm the guy that like made it this good at the beginning, right?
Right. It's one of those, I'm like almost afraid that they'll see that it took steps to actually be the product it is.
Got it. Cool. Okay, cool. Joshua, why do you think that that might not be, I don't know. It seems to me like you're challenging that idea as we talk through it, right? Like, is there reasons why that might not be the most logical outcome? If you were to take the opposite perspective of like, okay, I could have just left it up. Why? What are some reasons to have just left it up?
Well, even the just leaving it up thing, I know for me, I've actually somebody who enjoys at points the process, but apparently I feel like other people wouldn't like it and wouldn't want to see it or watch the. And so, like, I've had it where for other indies, like video games and that, where you could get in and you could watch, like, some of them do it on Twitch, where you can watch as they're actually building it and they talk about their process and what they're going through and how they're building the things. And really, I could have done something similar to that, even, and just embraced it rather than trying to hide it like it was shameful. Because it's, as I'm looking at it, I don't know why. For me, it is shameful, but not for others. But it was where in my head it was bad. They can't see this. They can't know that I'm not the perfect at it to start.
Yeah. And by the way, Joshua, you are not alone at all, right? Like I talk to entrepreneurs a lot. I talk to creatives a lot. And like, you know, what you're describing is perfectionism, right? This idea of like, before anybody sees it, it's got to be perfect, right? And I making that transition to, you know, building the plane in the air, right? Like, cool. This is going to be iterated on live. You know, building in person is really tough because what you're saying to the world is, hey, I'm not perfect, which is a vulnerable act, right? So I don't blame you at all. I think that that's a completely reasonable thing. That said, I do think like in order for you to make progress, I think, dude, you get it back up there. Like you get even the imperfect version back up there. You don't wait until like your revamp and your rebrand is done. Like just publish it again. That's my opinion. What do you think about that idea?
I think that is the right move. I actually can say, just from our talking, I was already planning on trying to get the website up over this weekend and just get that up at least. And even if that's at least a placeholder and trying to go through, because for the drive-through, because I changed the cover, I think I have to re-go through and get that approved.
Yep.
So I can put it in, but that's still going to take a few business days and things like that to get it where I can actually get that actually up.
Sure. Yeah. I looked at that and they were like, there's an approval process, which is great, by the way. I think that that's actually a really great thing that, because that means that there's not going to be like a ton of slop on that platform. You know, they actually have to like make sure it hits a standard, which I think is fantastic so that your product is not next to, you know, this module that somebody crappily, you know, threw together. Like it's actually a good marketplace. So I think that that's actually a fantastic thing. But yeah, man, that's wonderful. So it sounds like you've already made progress thinking through this stuff on your own and that you have intention to, yeah.
Well, it was the thing where just talking to you on a couple days ago when we were doing the setting everything up, it was just where talking to you and we were working through, and apparently I just needed someone to talk with at points to actually talk it through.
Yeah.
Because I was already hearing some of the issues as I was saying it out loud, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Where I was like, wait, it doesn't sound right.
Right. Yeah. It's like, wait a minute. That's my favorite thing about business is that it's like, oh, like nothing is too difficult, right? It's all just like, okay, 10% improvements, right? It's like, okay, like, you know, if we just stop doing the stuff that we know is like hurting us and we did more of the stuff that we know is going to like make everything better, let's just work on that. Because like, dude, here's the thing too, is that a lot of the people that I talk to seem like they are lost, right? You are not lost. You have a direction, right? You have a business that has very little overhead, mostly profit. You have a market that you are selling to. You have demand in that market, and you have experience and expertise in this industry. How long have you been DMing for?
Let's see, 25-ish years?
Wow. Here's something that I want to talk about. Have you ever...
I don't look it, I'm actually 38.
You look Really good for 38. I'm really jealous. You got to send me your skincare routine. Cool. Go ahead
I
and
used to be I used to be carded for like R-rated movies and everything.
really.
Yeah, back when I was working at Turning Stone, a casino nearby.
Yeah.
And I got out at midnight, and they weren't going to let me buy an M-rated game at first because I didn't look. And it was like, I'm like 25. Can I just get my game?
I love that. Cool. If you had to estimate like where you're at, like in terms of like, okay, let's look at like the standard distribution of the population, okay? And you have to like, here's what I'm trying to pinpoint it, right? Is that most people, when they fail to make online content consistently, they usually have this block in their head of like, I don't think my perspective is valuable enough for me to contribute to the conversation. Is that kind of something underlying in your brain a little bit or not so much?
There is that thought because especially since it's a thing where it feels like I have more stagnated and it's like, well, maybe I'm not good enough to go to that next step.
Sure.
Maybe it's a thing where this is the best I can do. And I know that's not actually true, but you still have that thought coming up.
Sure. So let's talk through this a little bit, right? Because I think that you've been DMing for 25 years. I've been DMing for a little bit, not nearly 25 years though, right? So I guess it's like, cool. So if someone was going to DM for the first time, right? What information could you tell them that would help them DM for the first time? What do most DMs get wrong, I guess is my thing. You know, like what do they mess up the first time? Do you remember?
Well, I mean, honestly, the biggest thing is just relax. You don't have to have the rules. You're going to screw it up. The players will have fun. Just go with it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, now even on a level deeper than that. On a level deeper than that, Joshua, when it comes to like writing a campaign, you've done this for 25 years. When it comes to writing a campaign, give me like, what do people mess up when they write campaigns for the first time?
I would say it's trying to get too much information in. You end up having it where you end up writing a story rather than an adventure. You're going to have players in the game that are going to be making decisions that are completely off the wall. You are not going to have control of this. If you try to have it where everything has to fall in line, they have to have it where it only takes 3 rounds to beat this guy, or there's going to be... And yes, I've actually seen somebody who tried to do that kind of thing where they were trying to have it where they had to do something in a certain amount of turns even, a certain amount of rounds. Mm-hmm. And that was where it was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. It's a wonderful dream. We would all love to have it where the players would cooperate that well. It's just not going to happen.
Sure.
And you have to take into account that it's your world, but other people are using it.
I love that. Cool. So cool. You've described 2 problems here that early DMs and people who write campaigns even are going to most likely run into, right? This idea of they're going to freak out, right? And there's going to be so much pressure that they're not going to be able to relax, right? And then, you've also described another problem here where when you're writing a module, you have this inclination that you need to control everything, right? That there's going to be, that part of the module is that everything needs to go perfectly and you need to kind of like have control, right? But because of your experience, that like the best things that you can do are relax and then not control everything, right? And so like my point with this here is that like when I talk to people who are afraid of making content, usually one of the blocks in their heads is I don't have things to make content about. I don't know like I don't know the value that I can give to people. Would you say that, like, I don't know, it sounds to me like you know your shit and you know what you're doing. Do you agree with that?
I know my stuff. I would say for content, I at points worry that I can make it entertaining or where people will actually get what I'm trying to say.
Got it. Okay, so it's more of a block around like, yeah.
More worried that the message isn't going to come through than that I don't have a message.
Got it. Okay, interesting. So it's more about like the communication, like medium and that sort of thing. Okay, great. So I mean, what are some ways that we could solve that problem? Because that seems like a solvable problem, right?
Yep. For ways that we could solve that, and that I'm not sure the best way on that.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Let me help out. So, I've done content creation for years and years, and I think that content creation, you can prepare as much as you want, right? You're a DM, right? Like, you know the power of preparation, right? Like you can prepare as much as you want. And the other nice, beautiful thing is that like we live in 2025 and like magic was invented 2 years ago and it's called artificial intelligence. And so now we could use the magic, right? To just be like, hey, like, I'm struggling to make sure that like what I am making is valuable, right? Because I don't know if my insights are valuable for these people. That's usually the problem that I have. So maybe I'm projecting a little bit, right? It's like, I'm like, man, I don't know if what I'm saying is going to be valuable to the people. But it seems like your problem.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
It seems like your problem, though, that you described before is like, I don't know if it's going to be received by them. I don't know if they're going to understand it, right? Which is also another problem that you can solve with AI, right? Which is like, hey, help me organize this information in a way that allows people to easily consume this, right?
I hadn't thought of using it that way, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that you could do that for sure. And that way you could, one, it helps you with topic selection, right? It helps you with ideation of like, I think this would make for a good video. And then two, it also helps you with like information presentation of just like, hey, you should try to outline it like this. If you use this type of, the other thing with that too, is that you can do it in a way where the information is presented in like an emotional arc, right? I really, really like content creation, right? So like if you're gonna try to like take to TikTok and make TikToks, because Joshua, I personally think the way that you do this, once you solve the bottom of your funnel, right? I can't do a triangle. Here's the funnel, right? Once you solve the bottom, right, of getting your shit back on the internet to purchase, right? Then all you have to do is figure out the top of the funnel shit, right? And you already know that your marketing channel, we talked before, it seems like you know that the best marketing channel for this, or the one that you should consider, is video stuff, right? Might be really difficult for you to do that because like, it's a pain in the ass to put yourself out there with video, but if you can figure this out, that is fantastic because you have no overhead, right? All you have to do is now make a ton of marketing stuff, right? So cool. So yeah, in the first 5 seconds, the hook of your video is by far the most important thing, right? It is what is going to determine your retention. Yeah. Were you going to say something?
Now, I do have a question. Do you
Sure.
think it would be better for video content if I did more long content like a YouTube or more short content like TikTok?
Yeah, I think it depends. I think that right now your first objective is to work on your self-concept of I am a person who makes content. And I think the way to do that, in my opinion, is to reduce the cycle time, right? So I think if you used something like TikTok or Instagram, I love Instagram stories because you can post whatever you want to Instagram stories. And now the thing with Instagram stories though is that they disappear after 24 hours, right? So that sucks. So instead, if you use TikTok, right, because TikTok has a huge organic reach algorithm, everybody knows about the TikTok algorithm. I did hear that it changed within the last couple of months, so the discoverability might not be.
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine what it is right now, but
yeah. If I were you though,
probably better because you do this, but
I would probably take to TikTok, right? And if you just made a TikTok every day, if you just started there, that would start this identity snowball is what I call it, right? Which is I am a person that makes marketing videos on TikTok, right? Also marketing, I don't like the idea of marketing videos, right? It's just I am a person who has valuable things to teach potential dungeon masters, right? Because if you're constantly hawking your shit, nobody wants to see that.
yeah, no,
I don't want to see that, right? I want to learn. I want to learn from Joshua. One way to think about capitalism is cool, everybody has something that they're really good at, right? You have skilled for 25 years into the skill tree of dungeon mastering, right? That means that there's shit inside of your brain that I don't know because I only did it for 5, right? So here's the way, Joshua, here's the way that you contribute to society that people want you to contribute on TikTok is here's all the shit I know if you try to dungeon master, right? And I've done it for 25 years, right? So
I hadn't thought of it that way.
I mean, but that's it, right? It's I want, that's the best type of TikTok shit. You ever seen a person who knows a ton about a very niche topic, right? I don't know, sometimes I don't know, a blacksmith TikTok. I think that shit's fascinating. Or
They have been really cool on those too. I actually do some of the cooking ones as well.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, exactly. Or have you ever watched the show on Discovery Dirty Jobs with Mike Rowe?
Yes!
I love
That
Dirty
was a
Jobs.
great
I love Dirty Jobs, right? And
show.
you get a window into these people's lives, and you get a window into what they do for work every day, right? And it's just natural to them. They don't think that they're experts in X, Y, and Z, right? Like, I don't know, I watched an episode recently with these people that like dig around in a tar pit and they pull out like animal skeletons from the tar pit, right? This whole business is
Okay.
fascinating. It's fascinating, but they don't view it as like, interesting. They just view it as I go here every day and I work on these things, right? It's normal to them.
Right.
Right? So dude, my point is that the things that are normal to you that you take for granted that like, you just know because you've done this for 25 years, most of society doesn't know those things to be normal, right? You're talking about this like you had 5 cons in the back of your pocket ready to go, ready to talk about, right? You have these things that you've learned from DMing for so long. Those things are valuable, especially to people who are just getting into dungeon mastering. And if you believe that, Joshua, if you understand and you take a step back and you say, cool, most of society, have you ever seen the movie Idiocracy before? I love the movie Idiocracy.
It's got electrolytes, so that's how we can.
It's what plants crave. I love it. I love the movie Idiocracy, right? Like when it comes to dungeon mastering, the thing is that you are the main character from Idiocracy, right? And the rest of the world is like most of the rest of the world is really dumb. Okay? This is the mindset that you need to have, right? It's like, okay, like I'm living inside of Idiocracy, right? Because like, dude, in the specific field of dungeon mastering and of like live RPG games, like that is true, right? You are 25 years old in the DM space, Everybody else is just
Yes,
learning
that
to
is
walk.
true.
Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts there?
An interesting way of looking at it. I hadn't put it in that perspective before.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can see the merit in it that it's where I've had 25 years in this field thing where it's
Yeah.
yeah, I just never thought of that. It's just something that I've done for that long and set it up.
Exactly. And so that's like where the you're an expert in this field, right? It comes naturally to you. You could talk about this for hours, I think, because of the natural things in your brain.
Yeah, I could probably get you to put up the white flag and surrender if you had me going off for a while.
Exactly. So that's what I think is I think you need to work on your funnel, right? Let me go back to some of my prep and notes here. The core thesis for Joshua, you have the right product, you're the right guy for the job, but you don't have a funnel and your self-concept is holding you back. That's kind of what I kind of came to the conclusion of after reviewing our call, right? The business model is solid, your modules are digital, right? You have no recurring overhead or very, very low overhead. Every time you do an update, you have a little bit of, your main expenditure is paying artists and stuff. But even your artists, dude, I think that your artists are a great opportunity for you to make your website and make your sales page on DriveThruRPG. You have a connection to a network of artists, right? How many artists do you know?
Good. I'd have to get the business cards out. I would say at least more than 30.
Perfect. I mean, that's incredible. And Joshua, do you do your own graphic design or are you designing these modules in InDesign?
I do the actual layout for the
Got it. So dude, you've got some graphic design experience and you've got a network of artists. You can make the best website ever. Like, dude, am I wrong?
I mean, I probably could. I never thought that it would come out well kind of thing. It's there are people who are trained to do this much better than I am.
Sure. Sure. But my problem with those people is that they cost a lot of money if you get the good ones. And if you don't get the good ones, then it's like, shit, this is really important to me and not that important to this other person. So if you have the ability to do graphic design, which if you've designed all these modules, it sounds like you have enough ability to really, really fly in something like Shopify or what is your website built on?
Website was built off of WordPress, and I did themes in that for that website.
Cool. When did you said that came down about a month ago?
About that.
About that.
That one might have actually been a little bit longer, but it was around the same time that I started pulling everything.
Got it. Do you like WordPress? Do you think that it's solid and you already know WordPress pretty well?
Honestly, I'm not that big of a fan, but it's where it's quick and easy.
Sure. Cool. And you know what? That's even better. And then here's another thing too, is that I know people, especially in your industry, people do not like the usage of AI, but like with ChatGPT 5 coming out, like I think a lot of the capabilities have gone down, but the one thing that it does do super well now is that it does like custom code blocks really, really well. So if you used ChatGPT 5 to be like, hey, make my header for my website just a little bit better. I don't actually know WordPress. I took one HTML class and there was a very cute girl in the back of the classroom and I spent all of my time talking to her and not paying attention. My HTML capabilities aren't
Can't
great.
blame you. If I had that opportunity, I'd probably take it too.
But like, you know, with AI, you can also like, if you're good at WordPress, dude, that's a really customizable platform. And I think there's a ton of opportunity there for you to make a really dope website. And especially since you're talking about like being introverted, struggling with video marketing and stuff. In my opinion, dude, your website is the perfect answer to that, right? Because that way, like you can tinker and control everything about that, you know? Fair?
No, that's definitely fair. Again, it's just hadn't put it in that site of I can tinker and I have it under my control. I can fiddle with it.
Yeah. You were saying you spend 30 to 40 hours a week on this business, right? What are you doing in those 30 to 40 hours?
Usually it's creating content and going through, and then at points, I probably shouldn't admit this one, but I have quite a few Word documents in that of things where I've tried to come up with certain wordings and things and starts to things like marketing and advertising and then just not liking it and going, no, I can't, and then taking. And so there's been a lot of time where I've spent, again, just writing and then going, no, and then doing the paper throw kind of thing.
Got it. Okay, yeah, I think, by the way, don't be afraid to admit anything. That's great. That's great information. You know, I mean, like, so you understand that like you're having like the main bottleneck is marketing advertising, right? I think, dude, what you try to do is you try to get comfortable building the plane in the air, Joshua, right? You turn that website back on in whatever version it exists right now, right? And as you make changes, you make those tweaks live, right? That will also help you with this self-concept snowball thing, right? Of like, cool, you know, even if you're just making the changes to the live website, like that is going to activate that system in your brain that is going to start thinking, okay, cool. I am a person that is like, now it might f- with your SEO and stuff, but like, I think that also has like, that's gotten a lot less important in the last 2 years.
That's probably gone the way of the dodo at this point anyway.
Exactly. So like I think that you use, you know, that fear and that like that constant iteration and that constant tinkering. I think you do that. The first thing that I think you immediately change is you flip your website back on and you start tinkering right there, right? Is like, okay, I want this to be perfect, right? Well, do your perfectionism on the page, right? That's at least a start, you know?
I mean, that's fair.
You're not going to wake up tomorrow and like, you know, start posting TikTok after TikTok. Let's be realistic. I don't think it's going to happen that way, right? We're going to build there. It's going to be a slow build, you know? So I think you start that on the WordPress, right? There are a few books that I highly recommend for website creation. The first one is a book called Sell Like Crazy by this guy who is like a crackhead named Sabri Subi. He's a bald guy who loves digital sales and it's the best copywriting book that I've ever read. He is,
Oh, okay.
yeah, he is, I don't know. I think he's like crazy, but that's why I love him, right? One of his favorite quotes is like grab him by the balls, right? Because like most website copy is super boring. And so like his big thing is grab them by the balls and make sure that like you are gripping them because like you are talking to human beings, right? And like human beings are emotional creatures that think they're logical, right? So if you can connect with them emotionally and then backdoor in the logic, that's how you do it, right? So I think Sabri Subi does a lot of really good stuff like that. And I know it kind of sucks because you're probably like, well, this is D&D marketing, which is going to be different, right? There's probably some red flags in your head, a little bit of like, this is storytelling. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, for some of the marketing stuff, because I've read books on it too, to try to get it to get through that thought process on the funnel at points. I know a lot of people say marketing is storytelling, and it's just getting a narrative out there.
Absolutely. What is the books that you've read? I'm curious.
I have read, give me a second and I will bring them up.
Totally cool. Story Brand. Have you read Building a Story Brand? That was really good. You would love that book.
Yes, I have done Building a Story Brand.
Beautiful. Donald Miller. Good stuff.
What was the other one that I did one that was Dark Alley Marketing.
Ooh.
Where it was a guy who actually is an indie game maker who was going through and talking about his marketing and that he was doing.
An indie game developer's roadmap to the dark side of marketing. In simple language, Stephen Long charts the path of independent game developers and must take lead players to their game. His bare bones approach to marketing promotion gives indies the framework they need to get started right away. Dude, this sounds great. This sounds great. This sounds wonderful. This is like an industry-specific, gritty, highly specific marketing book about doing exactly what you're doing. This is perfect. How did you find this? Did somebody recommend this to you?
Just came up because I read a lot of business books and game books, so
Hell yeah.
apparently it was like, because like I like reading about, like I read about startups in different areas and different aspects and funding, and I read a lot.
Cool.
So at points, it's also getting me to actually act on it at points.
Absolutely. Cool. Yeah.
Like the marketing side, I'm more nervous to the point where it's hard to make it where I'm at. Because, again, what if it doesn't work? And it's like, well, then I guess I'm in the same position, but it doesn't click at that time.
Yeah. Another book that I think that you would really like is Atomic Habits. Have you read Atomic Habits by James Clear?
I have not. That is actually on my stand. I have the book. It's in my to-read pile.
Love it. Dude, take that book and put it towards the top, because like that book, Joshua, would help you a lot, right? That's where I talk about the identity snowball, right? The first few chapters are about that, right? It's about like working on your self-concept to like the thing that keeps people doing the same things for a very long period of time. And this is like confirmed with like research and psychologists. He does all the work, right? And it's just that. So I take his word for it because it's a very famous book. But he's like, if you think about yourself as someone who is ripped and who has to go to the gym because that's what they do, right? And that's how you just naturally, implicitly think about yourself, then you live at the gym, right? You just go every day because that's just what I do because that's who I am, right? If you think of yourself as Joshua, I am the person who is going to help guide DMs across the river Styx to the DM hell. I guess they're going to hell. What is it? Tataris? Thank you. Appreciate it. If that is your,
at least we get to have it where it's interesting. Yeah.
If that is your conceptualization of yourself, then like you will naturally do the things that person does, right? He also talks about other forms of accountability. He talks about, one thing that could help you. The reason why I asked you about these Facebook groups and stuff is because those are peer groups, right? That's another form of accountability, is working with peer groups.
Okay.
Another one is like mentorship, right? So if you have a mentor that you check in with once a week or once a month or every other couple months or whatever, like that's another form of accountability. He talks about that in the book as well. That book is really, really good. So it sounds like you're having some execution problems, and I would highly, highly recommend that book because that helps with execution problems. Fair?
Okay. That sounds wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Is there any way I can also get a list of the books that you're writing?
Absolutely, yes.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Joshua, I appreciate you coming on and having this conversation with me because, like, I've been looking forward to this all week because we talked on the phone and I was like, dude, we can make this the best business ever because Joshua knows his shit, he's got a market, and he's got a validated product. And there's no overhead. There's no, like, high risk, like, Noah, I'm going to go spend $5,000 on this piece of equipment so that I can get started with this business. Well, don't do that because, like, that sounds really risky, right? You don't have any risk, right. Joshua. Like, you don't have any overhead. I think it's great. Dope. Okay, cool. So back to the summary that I was making just to make sure that we can we're going to wrap everything up here towards the end. You're in a niche with culture and buyers. You already have proof of sales. There's nothing wrong with the product. The problem is access and identity, right? So just like publishing what you have and then doing that build the plane in the air strategy. Another thing that I was thinking about too, Joshua, this is a very me recommendation, but I would highly recommend it. Dude, have you ever taken an improv class before?
I have not actually.
I think you find the first improv level 1 class that you possibly can, and you sign up and you go. And I know that that's like weird advice, but like it helps you get comfortable with looking silly, right? I think entrepreneurship is a lot about like personal growth, right? And I think that improv, it gets you used to this idea of like, I'm not going to have all the answers and I'm going to have to move anyway, right? And so improv classes are really good for that. And usually it also puts you in a community full of like really supportive, pretty extroverted people, right? And you can learn a lot from those types of communities.
Okay.
So I would highly recommend that. It would really help that identity snowball too, because then you also have that accountability with the group, you have the accountability with the teacher, and you have this like proof to yourself of like, I am a person that can go out onto a stage and say some shit and people might laugh, right? Like, you know, that's, and by the way, that also would help you with DMing a lot, I think, my personal opinion. Fair?
I've heard that before, that it does help with the DMing, and that is taking the improv classes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I swear by improv classes. I'm a big improv dork. I've done improv for almost as long as you've done DMing. I love improv. It's
Okay.
my favorite. Yeah. Cool. There's no path for a stranger to become a buyer, which you're aware of. You know, your answer for that is probably online video through TikTok. You know, once you get that bottom of the funnel back up, then and you practice, you know, making perfectionism on that, then we take you to TikTok. We get you to do some TikTok marketing. Your self-concept is collapsing the business, right? You know, basically, if you see yourself as a marketer or an expert, not even as a marketer, because marketer is like salesy. Marketer is like, I'm a person, like, you know, marketer is like shill. Fuck that. No, view yourself as like an expert, right? And I think that that's much better. Yeah.
Yeah, I know with the marketing thing, I don't want to be a used car salesman.
Right. Right. Yeah, tell me more about that. Speak more to that.
Well, that's always been part of the thing too, is with the marketing, is I'm afraid I'm going to come off like that used car salesman guy where he's more interested in the sale than the person. You're going to push through and be obnoxious rather than actually give information or do anything like that. And so I worry at points that I'm going to be perceived in that way when I'm talking about my own stuff. That people are going to be like, hey, quit crowding me, back off, man. I don't want your stuff. I said no.
Yeah. There's another book. I'm sorry. I know I'm a broken record with book recommendations, but there's a book called The Mountain Is You by, I think it's Brene Brown. It's definitely not Brene Brown. Who is The Mountain Is You by? The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. Brianna Wiest. She wrote a book called The Mountain Is You. In that book, she talks a lot about how sometimes what we think about other people, right? This idea of the used car salesman, this like salesy shill guy, right? You know, what we think about them informs like what we do with ourselves, right? Like you're describing, right? I don't want to come across as this type of person. I am not saying to go and try to come across as that person. I'm saying to very intentionally bring those thoughts outside of your your subconscious and explore like, okay, I don't want to become a used car salesman, but here's an example of someone in this industry that I deeply respect, right? What about like Matt Mercer? Somebody like that. I don't know. Do you have any people like that who are like, what about Brandon Lee Mulligan?
Well, for DMing, Matt Mercer's like top tier.
Exactly. Exactly.
Watching Critical Role in that, it's like he does amazing.
Exactly. Or like I think of Brandon Lee Mulligan when I think of like good DMs and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I believe Brandon is doing the next season of Critical Role, isn't he? And Matt's actually playing?
I didn't know that, but that sounds cool. And I don't watch much Critical Role. I was a big Adventure Zone guy. I really loved them and their stuff. But anyway, I guess my point is like finding a person who has an online following and like trying to like really critically think about like, what do I appreciate about this person, right? That I think.
So you're saying that I should analyze some people that like I even have some TikTok people who do some of like the DM advice and stuff, and what I like about their stuff, what I don't like, how I would improve it, kind of thing, is what you're saying?
Exactly. And if you can do that, right, then I think it would reduce your fear around being like this like salesy shill guy, which I'm not saying to become, right? But I'm saying instead to like.
Right. You said specifically not to be the shill guy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So go find the creators in the space that you actually respect, right? You know, the people who are teaching other DMs, right? reverse engineer, take notes on their content strategies, be like, cool, this is interesting, but I think it could be made better if we change this, this, and this, right? And this is how I'm going to do it, right? There's a YouTuber that I really like. He calls that yoink and twist, right? I'm going to yoink what this person's doing well, and I'm going to apply my own twist on it, right? And that will get you off to the races. But also, you know, pulling out these ideas of like, what do I think about these salesman types? And then trying to like work on them and then trying to reframe that into like, okay, I don't want to be this used car salesman guy, but I do want to be this version of myself that is confident and wants to tell people how to avoid DMing mistakes. And I want to educate the populace in this way. That will have exponential returns for you, in my opinion. Fair?
That sounds reasonable, and it's a thing like you've had a couple of things where I just was like, huh, I've never thought of it that way.
Hell yeah. No, yeah, dude. I don't know. I think since I was like 16 years old, I have had a like existential crisis about like what I'm going to do with my life and my career. And so like I have had like so many jobs where like I have worked with a lot of entrepreneurs, and some of them, most of them crashed and burned pretty hard because like business is hard, and like, you know, like a hope and a dream just only gets you so far, you know, but some of them have had a ton of success. Yeah, and I have been hopefully pretty instrumental in that success for them. So these ideas, I have been thinking about them for a long time. So I know, I don't know, sometimes they come easy, like you were talking about with DMing. It's like, you've done this for 25 years. Like things come naturally to you. I don't know, I'm realizing that like the way I think about these problems, not everybody thinks about them like this. And so, and I love talking about them because I'm a huge nerd. Anyway, cool. Yeah. My summary here, bottom of the funnel. Get your website back up, get Drive-Thru RPG back up as soon as you possibly can, in my opinion. You said that you're capturing emails. I think that's really good. My thought too is like, the faster that you can move a little bit away from Drive-Thru RPG and start collecting your own data, that's going to make your business more resilient for the long term, right? You eventually want to move away from this marketplace. The marketplace is really good to capture some sales at the beginning and start to become known because it has its own user base and stuff. But what you eventually want to do is you want to build your own little community, right? An email list is really good because you can constantly, like, you control your own destiny, right? You don't have to be at the whim of Drive-Thru RPG changing their review system, and then, or maybe they went out of business or something, right? And if that happens, like, you're screwed, right? So you want to try to pull your audience away from them as much as possible. Cool. The next thing is this self-concept shift, right? Start calling yourself a pro, right? I would highly recommend Atomic Habits and daily goals, right? One thing that I do is like I write down my goals to work on my business, like one small thing that I'm going to accomplish the next day. I do that at the end of the day. I do that at night before I go to bed. And I just write down, okay, I'm only going to do one thing, right? Some people call these MITs, most important tasks, right? I'm going to do one thing tomorrow that's going to move the ball forward on my marketing just a hair, just a little bit, right? Because you don't want to make it too big. People this up because they're like, I'm going to publish my website tomorrow. It's like, no. Like, you know, I'm going to log into my WordPress tomorrow and I'm going to look at it, right? Like that's the type of shit.
Okay, so you're talking very small.
Yeah.
Like just even opening the WordPress, like you said, and then getting that set up for the day and then coming back the next day.
Exactly. Because if you do that, you're going to be like, okay, well, if WordPress is open, then I can change this, and this. Like, you know, it's just going to naturally happen that way.
Right. Okay.
You know?
So it's kind of getting rid of any hurdles, so to speak, as you're coming in because the path's already smoothed out because you have set it up.
Exactly. Right. And it's about you're rolling a boulder, right? You don't roll the boulder by pushing the boulder all at once. You roll the boulder by just being like, okay, I need to go touch the boulder, like, you know, and you push it, you know, Sisyphus. We're doing metaphors today a lot. Cool. The other thing that could really help you is external accountability, right? Coaching or potentially peer groups or potentially even like AI, right? Like I really like ChatGPT. The ChatGPT, I think the Plus subscription is $20 a month, right? You can talk to the thing all the time and be like, hey, you can start a little project. And in that project, you can be like, hey, be my little coach, right? Check in with me, make sure I'm doing my shit. Have you messed with this at all?
I did not know you could do that with it.
Oh my God, it's so fun. It's so good. I need to make a bunch of videos about how I use ChatGPT because like I use it like a compulsive, crazy maniac person. And I think it would help certain people. Cool. After that, after we've got our bottom of the funnel and our self-concept shift, after we've started doing some of these things, then I think you just work on top of the funnel, right? You start doing video stuff. You said you're doing some stuff on Reddit and that sort of thing. I think that's great. I think just starting slowly TikTok, right? Even just drafts. I would recommend drafts, dude. Just like, focus on like, I'm going to film a video and I'm just going to save it to my drafts, because eventually, Joshua, you will make a video where you're like,
okay, I didn't even know you could do that with TikTok, that you could save drafts.
yes, you can. And so don't do all of this at once, right? Just little steps, but eventually film a TikTok and just save it to drafts, right? And then just work on the next one. Film a TikTok, save it to drafts. Film a TikTok, save it to drafts. And eventually you will realize it's like, oh shit, like some of these aren't terrible, right? Like,
That would be fair, because it'd be nice to have a couple that are at least, not, they just suck, not in the terrible level.
Exactly. Like, yeah, like, and eventually, the point is that you're developing a muscle, right? It's like going to the gym, right? And going to the gym sucks because it sucks and you have to do it every day, right? And you're not going to get ripped after the first one. And I wish you were, because I would be so ripped if you got ripped every single time you went to the gym. That'd be awesome. But
that would be nice.
It'd be super cool.
Or even just having it where, like, I know my dog, he and I actually go for walks in the woods and that every day.
Cool.
Where we do.
Wonderful.
And so it's like, it'd be nice if I could have it where that would work out the way it should.
Right. But it's just like this slow incremental like habit build of film a TikTok, save it to drafts. Eventually it will be film a TikTok, post it to my audience, right? Because that identity will shift to that.
Now, when you save them to the draft, how long does it stay in there before you could decide? Does it
stays there forever.
Or?
I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I don't know if that's actually a good question. I think I have drafts from years ago. How long do TikTok drafts last? This says it's on 3 days on device. I think they're saved to the cloud. They're stored locally on your device and they will not expire unless you manually delete them. However, recently posted drafts are only available for 3 days. I believe I have drafts from years ago, so they should stay there forever.
Well, maybe it's also a thing like if you saved it on your phone and then trying to access it on your computer, you might only have the 3 days.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Is that on their server it's saved, but it'll probably save local to your phone. Even if the drafts delete, which I don't think they do, and maybe I can research this afterwards, but even if you just downloaded that to your phone, like, and saved a little video folder or something, I think that would be perfect. Yeah. Other than that, dude, those are all my thoughts. Fair?
Yeah, I actually have to say, I was expecting a much more harsh rant.
No, dude, no. You're killing it, dude. Joshua, you're nailing it, dude. We gotta get you to jump off the cliff, buddy. Like we gotta push you outside of your comfort zone. And like, the internet's full of shitheads, but like you ignore them and you focus on the people that are fun and are good, because like that's life,
That's a good way of looking at it too.
Exactly. I don't know. I really do think that this business I really like this business. Some people tell me shit on this show and like in my life where I'm just like, wow, that doesn't sound like a good idea at all. This business, I love. There's very little overhead. There's fixed costs that you control when you want to improve your products. You can do everything. It's essentially a software business, right? And then it's a marketing challenge, which I love marketing challenges. So I really think that you have built something really cool here. And I think that it will, I don't know. If you keep plugging away at this, Joshua, I really see good things in your future. Fair?
Sounds great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed Chasing Dragons, please let me know. Post a comment. Likes help out the channel a lot. Comments also help out the channel. Also, if you think Joshua should post to TikTok and you want to go get Assault on Calzareth, let us know in the comments, right? Joshua, when your website is back up, where can people go get Assault on Calzareth?
Well, that would be gauntletgming.com. So GAUNTLET and then GMING.
Beautiful. GauntletGMing.com, and from there he's also going to link his TikTok and his Instagram and all these social profiles too, right, Joshua?
I gotta get them up, yeah.
Beautiful. Guys, you can go and find all of Joshua's stuff at that website, and you can go ahead and download his modules there as well. Joshua, thank you so much for coming on, and I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I did.
Beautiful.
Right.